Now, the World Economic Forum is meeting in Davos, Switzerland. They're asking folks, how can they help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So I'm out with some folks, ask them, how can nonprofits and charities help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So, sir, how can nonprofits and charities help close the gap between the rich and the poor?
Oh, that's what I don't know. I can't think. I have to think about that. I don't know the answer to that yet. Well, I guess we can get along better. And I don't see no exception between the rich and the poor. We all got our own thing. We do our own thing. We got a little bit of money in us, but we still are human beings, and we the human race, and stuff like that. So I don't see too much difference. They may have a little more, money and trades or whatever more than us, but still the same, And they might go to their own churches, but we still believe in one God and everything else go along with that.
Okay, so in closing, is there any last-minute things you'd like to say to the viewers?
Say to the viewers, have a nice Christmas, Merry Christmas all over the world, and hope we see another year and years to come. And glad to talking to you with the man with the, what kind of suit you got on? Oh, a nice suit on, and the cameraman and everybody else. Amen.
Okay. So in closing, this is Brian McKeon talking to you. The World Economic Forum is meeting in Davos, Switzerland, and they're asking folks, how can we help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So I'm asking some folks, how can charities and nonprofits help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So sir, how can charities and nonprofits help close the gap between the rich and the poor?
More job offers, more houses for the homeless, and bring God to their lives, and that's about it.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the viewers?
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and peace to the world, and stuff like that.
So in closing, this is Brian McKeon talking to you. Now, the World Economic Forum is meeting in Davos, Switzerland, and they're asking folks, how can we help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So I'm here asking some folks, how can charities and nonprofits help close the gap between the rich and the poor?
I believe that nonprofits and charities can bridge that gap by putting on love. Our major goal here is not to come down here and preach the gospel, but our goal is to put love as our agenda. So we come out to hear people's stories. We come out to find out how they got here, why they're here, and how can we help them get out of this spot if that's where they want to go. How can we send people home for the holidays to see their families? How can we show them love in a way that they've never experienced before? It's about love. Everything that we do is in love, for love, and to express love.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the viewers?
I think the only thing that is left to say is to do something outside of yourself and understand that being blissfully unaware is not the way to live, but you want to live knowing that there's situations like this that need help, that need love, and that need compassion.
You want to say the name of your charity?
Sure.
And if people were wanting to contact you at your particular nonprofit or charity, how would they do that?
Our nonprofit organization is actually a church, and we're located in Corona, California, and it's Crossroads Christian Church. And if you need the address, it's 2331 Kellogg Avenue, Corona, California 92881. And we also have our Wednesday night services, which is all of us that are here. Our Wednesday night services are for young adults, which is our Crossroads community, and it's called Generate. So they can go online at www.generatelife.com for more information if needed.
Okay. So in closing, this is Brian McKeon talking to you. Now, the World Economic Forum is meeting in Davos, Switzerland, and they're asking folks, how can we help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So I'm here at the, what is it?
Midnight Mission.
Now, the World Economic Forum is meeting, and they're asking folks, how can we help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So I'm here at the Midnight Mission asking folks, how can nonprofits and charities help close the gap between the rich and the poor?
Well, nonprofits have a long history of helping those that are in need the most in our communities. But I think as we continue to move into a world that's driven by more sophisticated communications, nonprofit can play a critical role in bringing community resources and focusing them on very specific areas of need within a community. For example, if you look at today's event, we're going to serve nearly 3,000 people toys, food, clothing, things that they need during the holidays. Most of the people that we're seeing today are not the typical people that you would imagine experiencing homelessness, those with underlying issues such as substance abuse or mental illness. The folks we're seeing today are people that are simply not finding work, people that are victims of the economic times. And the way we're able to pull this off is I got close to 150 community volunteers that are here serving these folks. What does that mean? That means that I've got hands on deck to do what I need to do today. But more importantly, I now have individuals that are aware of this plight going back into their communities. I think there's a significant role for nonprofits to help build the bridge of communication, of resource allocation between those that have and those that do not.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the viewers?
Yeah, I think it's important that people realize that we share this space together, and while my vision may be things are okay, in many places in our country and around the world things are not okay. And I do believe that we all have a responsibility to help those that we can. And every little bit counts. We don't have to solve the problem today, but if we're all working towards it, a solution is imminent.
Now, if people were wanting to contact you, how would they go about doing that?
The best way to contact me or our organization is through our website at www.midnightmission.org. There you'll have a variety of contact information and learn what we're doing to help our community.
Okay, so in closing, this is Brian McKeon talking to you. Now, the World Economic Forum is meeting in Davos, Switzerland, and they're asking folks, how can we help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So I'm asking folks, how can nonprofits and charities help close the gap between the rich and the poor? So, sir, how can nonprofits and charities help close the gap between the rich and the poor?
The nonprofit organizations has to follow suit behind those organizations that are doing things. And we have sort of rich folk organizations that are out there performing functions such as we're doing right here. If we can follow behind them and do some of the basic same things, I think the people will understand why we're out here, and that'll sort of bridge the gap, and they won't be concerned about whether they're rich or poor, but rather whether or not they're doing the right thing.
Okay, it also, being out here and giving, it also gives the sense of people knowing that there's still people out here that care. You know, I myself was out here 20 years ago, and it's a good feeling to be able to come and give back rather than to receive, and let them know that there is some hope.
How can nonprofits and charities help close the gap between the rich and the poor?
Well, what do you see and what are you looking at right here today? We see that the nonprofit organization has the Mason and the Shrines, the Eastern Stars, and Daughters of Sphinx all are working here today to help the unprivileged people here, and helping them by giving them food, trying to get them on their feet, or trying to let them know that somebody out here really cares about what's going on. And if we can do this, and all the other organizations do this, I think that some of this problem that we're having today probably wouldn't even exist.
Did you want to say something? Okay. Do you want to say something? No? Okay, so in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to our viewers?
We'd like to have all of the other organizations that are similar to us as far as the Masons and Eastern Stars join in. Do the same things that they see us doing, and we can continue to enforce by precept and example some type of obedience to the tenets of this order.
It all has been said.
Okay, so in closing, this is Brian McKeon talking to you. So, sir, if people were wanting to contact you and your organization, how would they do that?
They could look us up on our website. We are the Most Worshipful Sons of Light Grand Lodge and Queen Ada Grand Chapter. They can reach us at mwsolgl.org, or they can call us at area code 323-231-5555. And we are the Most Worshipful Sons of Light Grand Lodge and Queen Ada Grand Chapter, where the Honorable Floyd C. McMillan is our Grand Master. And
we just want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
all right.